We've just finished our track session, just in time, and it looks like they're rehearsing for one of the parades. They've taken over the whole track, it's brilliant. Ooh, it's gone really dark. I just wanted to video some clips from my track session, just to show how you can combine two sports basically. So I am training for an athletics meet next month, but my sprint sessions are actually doubling up as my cardio to get ready for my first bodybuilding, which will be a month after, or 6 weeks after I think my competition is. So yes, and I'm heading home to go and have some tea. I'm hungry. See you later. Hi, welcome to video 3 in my prep series. Coming up next is the second half of my top 10 tips to stay on track with your prep that I started in the last video. You know, so just be very aware of who you're following on social media. And also that's the same in real life as well. As soon as you start prepping, everybody becomes an expert on competing. The same as the minute I mention I'm vegan, the whole world becomes an expert on protein. So yeah, as soon as you mention you're competing, everybody, whether it be some bloke at the gym, other coaches who might think you've got a lot of potential and might want to coach you, everyone will have an opinion on what you're doing. They'll have read that you should be doing this, or you should be doing that, or you should be eating this food, or you shouldn't be eating that, or you should be doing this type of cardio and not that type of cardio. So my best advice is cover up when you're training, because the minute you start to get leaner and strip off, you're drawing attention to yourself in the gym, and you're more likely to attract those comments of, oh, when are you competing, or have you started doing this yet, and you know. So I tend to keep myself covered up when I'm training, especially if it's a gym where I might get a lot of opinions. Yeah, and just if you get distracted by other people's opinions, it could easily throw you off your own path. If you've got a coach, talk to them. My clients know that but if someone says something to them or questions what prep they're on, they can come and ask me, and I'll sit and explain exactly why we're doing things a certain way, because everyone has different body part genetics and different strengths and weaknesses. We don't all prep in the same way, so it's important to understand why you're doing things a certain way, so that if someone does question it because it's different to what they're doing, that you don't feel what you're doing is wrong. And if you've got a good coach, they'll be able to explain exactly why you're doing things a certain way. So don't be afraid, don't sort of sit and worry about it. Ask someone, and if you have got a coach, make sure you talk to your coach and let them know that people have questioned what you're doing, or you're a bit worried because someone suggested you should be doing a certain thing and you're not, and you don't know why. Don't worry about it, because worrying is the worst thing you can do. Just have a chat with your coach, or just ask someone more experienced for their opinion. But yeah, just be careful whose opinions you're listening to. Is it someone who's competed before? Is it someone who coaches? Is it someone who understands the category and the type of bodybuilding you're doing? And if it's someone's opinion you trust, then fair enough. But if it's someone who's never competed before and they don't understand the women's sport and they don't understand that a bikini competitor doesn't need paper-thin skin and veins everywhere, you know, just try and sort of think about who that person is and whether their advice is worth listening to and taking on board. And then really, it's very easy these days to do your research on your competition. There's no reason why you should turn up to a competition and not know what you're being scored on, what the rules are, what you're allowed to wear, things like this. So the first thing you want to do when you pitch a competition is download the rules of the federation. So if it's a drug tested fed, you want to know exactly what substances you can't have, because some feds are more strict than others. You want to know what type of shoes you're allowed to wear, because some will let you wear platforms and some won't. So some federations will let you wear thong bikinis and some that's not allowed. So you can go and get the rules off your federation's website, their Facebook page, or just call them or send them an email. Just make sure you know exactly what's allowed, what's not allowed, or what's expected, whether you have to do a routine or it's a T-walk. If you can, try and go to a show. That's the best research you can do, especially a show within the same federation as you want to compete. That way you know exactly what the layout of the day is going to be, what sort of the standard is, what people are wearing. Do some research on what tan you're allowed to use, because some federations have quite strict rules about which tans are allowed. So yeah, get yourself organised. Find out all the different rules for that fed. And then get some research for your actual show day. Get really organised for that. So it's never too soon to start looking at bikinis, shoes, tanning, what you're going to do about hair and makeup, because some federations it's quite important what your actual presentation's like. Other feds aren't so bothered. So again, that's where you want to start asking other competitors or speak to the federation themselves, find out how important these things are. Some websites will actually give you a breakdown of how much of your score is based on stage presentation, your posing ability, your suits, your actual posing, symmetry, muscle. You can find out most things, but really get your make a list of all the things you need to get, so you make sure you've got everything. I'm going to put in the link a show day backpacking blog that I wrote, which just gives you a list of all the sorts of things that you might need on show day, even down to a sewing kit in case something happens to your bikini, which I have seen backstage, and yeah, it's always handy to have some safety pins or a needle and thread. So I've made a list of things that might be useful for your competition bag. So really start looking at how you're going to get your tan done, whether you're doing it yourself or whether you're going to use the supplier at the show, those kind of things. The earlier you can get those things organised, the less stressful as you get tired towards the end of your prep and the nerves kick in. The more things you've got planned in advance, the easier the run up to the show is going to be. And then my last piece of advice is to really think ahead past your competition. The post-comp blues are really common, and this is where you have this massive lead up where your whole life's consumed by competing. You get to show day, and whether you do really well or whether you don't place at all, the few weeks past your competition can be really tricky. A lot of people will completely binge because their diet's been so strict they just can't stop eating. Other people will get quite depressed because suddenly this goal that's been there, there's this anticlimax. You've hit that goal, and then what's next? And if you haven't planned anything for post-competition, that can be quite a tricky time, and that's when most people kind of fall off the rails, don't stick to their gym plans, don't stick to their reverse diet. So really think about whether it's another competition that you want to aim for to go away and get some improvement, or another sport. So you might want to do a powerlifting competition or a strongwoman competition, or go and run a 10k. For me, I do sprinting as well, so I might have a race plan for that. Or even something that's not even fitness related. You might have a work goal, or something else that you really wanted to do but not had time to do because you've been prepping. Or just aiming for a PB and maybe going to strength days and try and get some PBs, because as you add food back in, you'll probably find it's a great time to start lifting some personal bests in the gym. So again, if you've got a coach, speak to them about what their post-competition day strategy is. And if you haven't got a coach, try and line up a few things so that once you've done with the competition, maybe had a few days off, but you've got some reason to get back in the gym, or have your diet planned afterwards so that you don't completely go off the rails. That way you're more likely to make the most of that post-competition phase where you can get straight back into your training, and try and maybe avoid the sort of emotional distress that a lot of women go through once the competition's done. And it's really important, so try and just think of some things to plan ahead for. So that's my top 10 tips to get you through your prep and out the other side. If you can think of anything else that you're worried about, pop it in the comments, and if you want me to talk more about any of those topics, because I have brushed over them quite quickly, then let me know, because I can always talk in more depth about some of those things in future episodes.